I'd love for you to talk about homeopathic medicine, what it is, why it works, because I think a lot of people don't understand. I used to not understand what it was. I thought it was something completely different, and it's mind blowing when you learn what is homeopathic medicine and why does it work. And then maybe talk about some of the science behind it and your thoughts about homeopathic medicine in general.
Well, if there was only one medicine that I was allowed to practice, it would be homeopathy. Because I've seen more remarkable cures, and either personally or tangentially, because my colleagues talk about it at conferences, than with any other system of medicine. And historically, the record books of the homeopaths in the 1800s and the early 1900s, it's unbelievable what they were able to accomplish. I have a colleague in Montreal right now. He's cured over 500 cases of multiple sclerosis with homeopathy. I have a colleague in Arkansas, just moved to Arkansas from Hawaii. He's cured over 1,000 kids with autism with homeopathy.
Really?
Homeopathy is extremely effective. And the pharmaceutical industry hates homeopathy because, number one, homeopathy is curative. It's curative. Let me say that again. It's curative. And number two, unbelievably inexpensive. Like that girl with reflex sympathetic dystrophy, the medicine was like $10. And that one tube of medicine would have lasted her like a month, but she only needed 3 or 4 doses of it. And this is the beauty of homeopathy. So, number one, it's curative. Number two, it's unbelievably inexpensive. And this is why the pharmaceutical industry has its propaganda machines rolling heavily against homeopathy. And it's been that way for over 100 years now, and it's not going to stop. So, homeopathic medicine, there are 5 laws of homeopathy. We're not going to go over all of them. The most important are the law of similars and the law of potentization. So here's what homeopathy purports. That, let's say you have a migraine headache, and your migraine headache feels to you like your head is exploding, like someone's inside your head pumping it full of air, and the head is expanding, and it's an explosive, expansive pain, which is much worse when you lie down, much better if you stand up, much worse if anything cold touches your head, and much better if anything warm touches your head. These are your symptoms, okay? A homeopath would argue that in order to cure that condition, you would need to deliver a medicine to the migraine sufferer, which, when given to a healthy person, would create the same symptoms of an explosive headache, worse when they lie down, better when they sit up, better from heat, worse from cold. And if you were able to discover that medicine and deliver it to the migraine sufferer, by virtue of the law of similars, which is a natural law, the action of the homeopathic medicine would negate the action of the disease. The disease would be eliminated and eradicated from the body, and the patient would be brought to a state of health. Now, the best way to understand this, kind of pragmatically, is to think about noise cancellation technology, right? In high school physics class, I'll never forget this because it was a really cool experiment. The teacher had a big plate glass, a rectangle that had edges on it that was maybe 4 feet wide on one end, 2 feet deep, and then 4 feet on the other end. And it was maybe 6 inches tall, right? And it was plexiglass. And he had water inside it, half filled with water. And I dropped a rock or a weight, like a fishing weight, into one end of the water, and it created ripples in the water, and you could see them. It had an overhead projector, and you might have put a dye in the water so you could see it better. So you drop the rock, and it creates ripples in the water. Isn't that great? And if it was a bigger rock, it would be a bigger wave and different frequencies of waves, right? So he could manipulate all that. But then he did this. He took two weights of exactly the same weight and he dropped them at different ends of the water trough. So they created identical waveforms marching towards each other. And when the identical waveforms hit each other in the middle of the water trough, it was flat calm. It was like calmer than calm. It was completely motionless, the water, but on either side of it, there was all this wave action. But where the waves intersected, it was completely flat. This is a representation pragmatically of the law of similars. The law of similars argues that two similar diseases cannot coexist in the human body at the same time. So the quest of the homeopath is to discover and to deliver a medicine which, when given to a healthy person, produces the same symptoms that the sick person is suffering from. Which is interesting, goes to what I was saying before. You know, we don't treat pathology, we treat people. We don't treat disease, we treat people. So I could have identical triplets. They've got the same genes, they have the same stress, they eat the same food, they live in the same house. They could all have strep throat. They could have given it each to the other. And they would need 3 different homeopathic medicines to recover, because they're 3 different human beings and they have 3 different sets of symptoms. One kid's throat pain might have been worse on the left side of the body, fine on the right. The other one might have been worse on the right side of the body, fine on the left. One of them might be both sides. One of them, the throat pain might feel really good from a hot drink. The other one, the throat pain might have felt really bad from a hot drink. One of them might have had a fever. The other one might have had chills. And all of these symptoms, the symptom picture that develops in the patient's body is what the homeopath pays particular attention to.
So it's not just the name of the condition. It's not just the fact, hey, this is strep throat. It's how that manifests in the body through the symptomology.
100%. And you develop or you deliver a medicine that matches the symptomology. You know, it's like trying to break a wine glass with sound. You got to get it exactly right and the glass shatters through resonant frequency. Well, it's the same with homeopathy. So this is really interesting. And this is something that medical doctors completely overlook. So I've developed a little model to help people understand this. So bear with me, Nathan. Okay. So here's kind of how this all works. But also I need to preface this with, if you would like to have fun with the medical doctor, like you've had it up to here with the arrogance of the medical doctor, and you know, you're finally breaking through and you really want to have fun with them. Next time you're in a medical doctor's office, ask them to define health. Doctor, I'm interested. What's your definition of health? And see what they say. Because they won't be able to give you a definition of health because they're not trained in it. Health is the ability of a living organism to experience negative stress and remain symptom-free in a state of dynamic equilibrium. So here's how that goes. Life is a great big bowl of stress, right? There's germs, bacteria, emotional stress, financial stress, weather, aging, crap in the air, crap in the water, crap in the food, political stress, right? Stress all the time. When stress hits the body, there's only 2 possible outcomes. The body defends it and the stress bounces off, or the body cannot defend it. The stress impacts the system, destabilizes the system, and the system compensates and generates a symptom. So the weather changes in the autumn, and the stress of the weather change, your body can't handle. The body becomes destabilized, and you develop a fever, a sore throat, and a stuffy nose. Okay, all the symptoms of a flu, right?
Which, by the way, I just want to mention, people think of those symptoms as a bad thing, but in fact, those are still your body's natural defense mechanisms trying to help you heal. The fever is heating things up to try and destroy the pathogen. The runny nose is trying to get those, pathogens out
The
of your
cold is the
sinuses, out of your
cure.
system. The cold is the cure, exactly. And that's people are like, oh no, stop the fever and stop the runny nose and take the drugs to inhibit these things. Yeah, because they're uncomfortable, but they're actually the thing that's helping your body heal itself at the same time.
100%. And so you're the smartest person in the room. So and you're absolutely correct. But this is how it goes. You're stressed by something, you become destabilized, and you become symptomatic. So, you develop asthmatic breathing, for example. Okay. So you go to a medical doctor and they deliver a drug that suppresses the symptom. Right? So you get a bronchodilator, you get an antibiotic, you get an anti-inflammatory, you get an MAO inhibitor, you get something, the intention of which is to suppress the symptomology. Now, the symptom was there in the first place as a compensation that the wisdom of the body generated. It did this for a reason. So when you suppress the symptom, that's like sneaking up behind somebody who's on crutches and kicking the crutches out from underneath them. When you suppress the symptom long enough, the body must fall further off balance and generate another symptom. And this happens all the time. So you have a 7-year-old kid who has bad eczema. The medical doctor delivers cortisone cream, cortisone cream, cortisone cream, cortisone cream, cortisone cream, cortisone cream. The eczema clears up. 2 months later, the kid develops asthma because the eczema was suppressed. How do we know this? Because when you cure the asthma holistically, the eczema comes back. This is called Herring's law of cure. Because nothing was fixed, everything was suppressed, and the body fell to another level of defense and generated another symptom, and fell to another level of defense and generated another symptom. So holistic therapeutics, whatever it is, whether it's naturopathy or homeopathy or Ayurveda, botanical medicine, energy medicine, whatever it is, the intention of the treatment is not to suppress the symptom, but to push the system back into a state of balance. Because what happens when the system recovers its balance? The symptom disappears.
Homeostasis.
And this is called a cure. Now, homeopathy attempts to do this by leveraging the law of similars. That's how homeopathy pushes the system back into a state of balance. Chiropractic does it a different way. Botanical medicine does it a different way. Hydrotherapy does it a different way. Acupuncture does it a different way. I like the homeopathic way because it's an awesome way, but it is also difficult because people have not been trained to pay attention to their symptoms. And it takes a very talented interviewer, a very talented homeopath, to be able to put the patient at ease enough and extract their symptoms from them in a clear method. It's not easy. And this is why homeopathy is called an art. It's the art of homeopathy. Most of the trouble with homeopathy, or the challenge with homeopathy, is not discovering the medicine, because we've got computer programs that go through that quickly and it's easy. The trouble is eliciting the symptoms clearly from the patient. Oh, doc, my head hurts. I got a killer. I got a killer headache. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, what's it feel like? Well, it's pain, doc. It feels like pain. My head hurts. Well, what's it feel like? Does it feel like your head's being squeezed? Does it feel like your head's expanding? Does it feel like someone's hammering a nail into your head? What side of your head hurts? What makes it feel better? What makes it feel worse? When does it happen? What started it? All these things the homeopath needs to know the patient is clueless about because of the medical monopoly and the lack of education in this regard.
Thank you for listening to this short clip from the Nathan Crane podcast. Please share this on social media, and to listen to the full podcast, visit nathancrane.com.